Hello, Fem Fam. It's your girls, Carolina and Tessa.
In case you ever thought it was anybody else.
Or if you're new to the show, welcome. We love covering all areas of independent film on the production side. And today we really get into sound. It's season 10. I'm a little embarrassed that we haven't brought someone on sooner because this conversation, y'all, it was a must. It
Yeah.
needed
was
to
eye-opening.
happen.
Yeah.
It was so eye-opening, and now I think Tessa and I are just so much more well-informed on how to approach sound. And today we have on the lovely Darren Augustus to talk about it. He has been working in sound here in LA for around 10 years. I met him through Katrina Sobrero on one of her film projects, and he was so lovely to work with. And we just got chatting together after one of our sessions one day. And you know, thanks, Katrina, for bringing him up to have on the show because they're such a key part to filmmaking and production, and oftentimes they get overlooked and get thrown in last minute. So I think it's definitely important that this, like, for everyone, even if you've done a couple films now, to hear what he has to say on his side and his perspective to the whole team. And in general, like a little fun creative thing that we didn't really talk about on the show, but I just want to throw in there. I started, you know, as you guys know, we're working on a psychological thriller right now. And since, you know, I love watching films in a genre that I'm writing in, you know, to help inspire and like create direction. And I've specifically like kind of just tuned into sound. And it's kind of amazing what different directors do and how important it is to creating like a thrilling atmosphere or something that's like haunting. It's crazy, the elements from like the background noise to the music, and you know, I hope we're gonna have more conversations around sound because I sincerely think it makes or break a film, or like helps, you know, inspire. So I challenge you all to, if you're working on a project right now, watch some films and start to notice the music and the feel and how, you know, is there background noise being left in, or is there like a constant beat being played? It's really, really cool. But that's the creative stuff. So guys, I hope you enjoy this conversation, and we will see you guys next time.
No, I'm originally from Australia, but I've been out in LA for 11 years now, I think. 10 years, 11 years.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like this is the new home. But yeah, I've been doing sound out here the whole time. I do a lot of music stuff as well. So like I'm transitioned, or I guess I switch between music and film audio. But yeah, I've been doing that this whole time, and it's been fun. It's been good. Like I said, like LA feels like the new home. It's great for this sort of work. You know, we all know that LA is great for like film and the music industry and stuff. So originally from Australia, moved over here and planning to stay out here as long as I can. We'll see.
Yay.
As far as like the sound production side, like I mean, I knew it was a process, but like I've just recently started doing audiobooks and I have to produce them myself too. And it's pretty limited to what they actually require. Like I don't really have to go in and like fully master it's a pretty simple thing. But even just that, I was like, I would have had no idea what was necessary to do, how to do any of it if it didn't like list it out for me. And I like, you know, Googled the tutorials and everything. But when I started doing it, I realized like I don't know a ton of sound producers. I know people that have produced music, so, you know, very similar, but it kind of struck me. I was like, I really don't even know who to go to ask these things because I don't know how similar it is to producing music.
That's a good point. Like, how similar is that, or is it very niche? I mean,
I think it's definitely niche, but I feel there are obviously a lot of connections between the two. How I got into sound was I originally started recording music So the understanding of microphones and microphone placements and mixers and recorders and all that, I already had knowledge, already knew about, but it actually started as a friend was just like, hey, do you want to come record sound for my film? And this is a long, long time ago. I was like, oh man, I don't do that. I'm a music guy, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, just come out. So I came out, I did it. He was like, oh, it went really well. Like, how, you know, compared to some of the other people who use it. It's like, but you've never done this before. I'm like, yeah, you know, it's just recording signal to noise or like technical stuff. And he was like, cool, we should start doing this. And, you know, it's like, whatever. But so that was the idea. It's like, that kind of relates, but then it's tough because once you get into the really technical side of things, or like the specifics, I guess, they're very different. Music and film sound is very different. Music, it's like you are there to record the audio. There's no other element. There's no makeup. There's no camera. It's just all audio in a dead quiet room with really loud instruments, you know, where sound in terms of post-production and actual location sound, it's like, I don't want to say you're fighting, but you are in some ways working around other departments to do your job. And it's kind of like, that's cool because that's just how it is. But then at the same time, it's like, this could all be so much better if audio was, you know, prioritized in certain situations. So in terms of like the post-production side as well, because you were talking about audiobooks, it's like, if you don't understand that coming from the music world, and then you hear like a ton of background noise, or if, you know, in terms of film, you know, or you're getting actors talking over each other and all these different kind of elements that you have to work with while doing sound, it's like, you just don't know how to approach that from a music background. But when you get into sound and you realize it's like it's part of the gig, you know, is dealing with just stuff that makes your job harder.
Because like in music, you can re-record like a certain lyric over and over again to get the perfect sound. But with film, it's you just have what you got on set.
Yeah, kind of, exactly. And then obviously we talked about ADR. It's kind of like in music now, and I don't want to go too deep into the music, but you record multi-track drums and bass and all that, and it's all individual.
Yeah.
Like you get the file and all you hear is the bass guitar, all you hear is the drums. It's like in the old days where they used to just record a whole band in the room. It's like you got that take and that's your take, and then you got to cut the tape and then, you know, make sure it all works. It's like, that's kind of, I don't want to say this, but that's kind of how film still is, where it's just like, yeah, there's your actor, there's your take. You've got one take, camera got it right. That's the take we're using. Like, let's move on. It's like, oh shit, but this guy was talking over that guy. And,
how often
blah, blah, blah.
do you hear that? Like, does it happen all the time where you're just like, damn it, I heard the guy all the way across the parking lot?
That does happen often, but I think by knowing the post-production side of sound as well as the location side of sound, I can often, not all the time, but often say, okay, that's fine. They'll be able to take that out, or that will probably not make it into the mix, or this guy's talking really loud compared to this girl, so I know this guy's mic's going to be quieter in terms of background. Like, there's all these little bits of it, but it's kind of like, yeah, why are people talking right now? You know, no one's walking behind the camera, but why are they talking around the mics? You know, it's kind of like that sort of mindset that some people have, but some people don't have. And then you can't really drill that into people. You just have to be like, sorry, you know, guys, we were hearing the producers talking in the background. It's just like, well, everyone's too scared to say anything to them. So it's like, okay, let's move on, you know, that sort of thing.
So Darren's a very patient person. I can already get that.
Try to be.
Yeah.
Try to be.
I know for a project that a friend did years ago, and it was just like a one scene simple thing, but they had the sound equipment, and the person that was supposed to run the sound, something came up, they couldn't be there that day, but they were like, use my equipment, you know, just pop somebody in there. So that somebody turned out to be me. I had never run sound. Okay. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I was on enough sets to know like, oh, we're going to need, you know, room tone and like to have an idea of what we needed. But like, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, at that point I didn't even have a mic to know anything about like gain or, like I had no idea. I'm just like holding the boom, have the headphones on, making sure there's no random background noise. But like it just, I mean, just that one day gave me so much respect because you do hear everything. Like it's insane how, I mean, those mics are amazing. Even just these mics we're using right now, like I can hear my neighbors across the, the way sometimes. So
yeah. Yeah, it's like it's really hard because it can be a really simple job. The issue is if you get it wrong, you're in trouble.
That's
like
why I won't do it. I'm like, gives me anxiety.
Right. It's like, again, you've got that one take and then, you don't want to be the one that has to say, sorry guys, we have to go again because I, didn't have the mic in place or whatever. What was I saying? It's, I do like a lot of basic sit down corporate style interviews, but they're large productions.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea why they spend, whatever it is, $1,000 a day on sound is because, the CEO of blah, blah, blah is coming in for 20 minutes. We've got him for 20 minutes, you need to get a mic on him in like 5 seconds. And then once he sits down, the boom needs to be in place. You got to hit record. In the 20 minutes he leaves, and we'll never get that interview again, So it's like times like that where there's a lot of production companies that will think, well, it's a sit down interview. He's standing still. We'll put a mic on him. We'll, put a boom up.
For people who are first time listeners or not aware of what a boom mic is, can you just break that down real quick?
Yeah. I mean, the easiest way I kind of explain it is it's like people know it as the dude that like swings the boom around in the movies, but it's basically just, a large microphone or a largish microphone that goes above the actors or above the talent. And on interviews, they kind of just sit there on like a C stand or a stand, but on like film work, there's usually a boom operator that will, swing the boom around from
it's the large stick pole like thing, guys. That's the way.
That's it. The large stick heavy pole that we carry.
Oh yeah, it is heavy.
It's not fun to be the boom operator.
No, it's not. I've had quite a few boom operators, and I've boom operated quite a lot. And it's like, again, it can be an easy day of like long lighting setups, and then you go in and you do like 20 minutes of work, and then you sit back down. Or you can just get those directors or whoever's that are just like, let's go for another one. Let's go for another one. Let's go for another one. And then it's like, because of the lighting, you're like,
then it becomes arm day real quick.
Then it becomes like a big shoulders day of just like holding it up and getting screamed at about boom shadows and all that sort of stuff. So it can be fairly simple or it can be kind of
perfect. So you're the corporate 20 minutes. So you have a mic, you might have a boom.
Yeah, so there's that sort of stuff, and it's just like, basically what I was saying is you've got those 20 minutes are super crucial. So a lot of people will invest the money into getting good sound and having a pro that has done it a million times, but a lot of companies won't, and they'll think that, again, what I was getting at is it can be really simple, and they'll put the boom mic above the talent, and they'll lav the talent up, and it can be good, or it can't be good where you put a mic on someone and then they've got like a suit jacket on, and then the suit jacket's scratching against the mic, and then go on to the other side of it, and then you get the files in post-production, and they're like, hey, is there anything you can do about this mic just sounding like it's scratching the whole time? And it's just like, no, guys, no. It looks beautiful, but it sounds like crap, So there's a lot of that. Going back to it, it's just kind of, it can be really simple, but then it can be, a simple setup can be really difficult because, like I said, you kind of often working around other departments or other schedules or other whatever.
Right.
So something kind of simple can turn into something fairly difficult.
So as a producer, what can we do to communicate better with our sound crew to like know if it's, to have that open line of communication? Is there anything we can do to avoid issues like that?
Yeah, awesome. So the first step is not hiring the sound mixer the night before or like a couple of days before, because that's usually what will happen on indie films. It'll be like this whole thing of you write the script, you find a director, or maybe you're the director, and then you get your friend that's the big DP and the DP, and he needs his camera, and let's check out all this sort of stuff. And then last minute it's like, oh, well, we need sound as well. So the big thing I'd say is just think about sound pretty early on, in terms of finding sound mixers. I know that's tough because sometimes it's hard to find a production sound crew for an indie film because we generally work pretty often and on multiple projects, you know. So for example, it's like a lot of corporate stuff, a lot of day playing on narrative things or whatever. But yeah, just involve them early in terms of sending them the script, looping them in emails. This is the biggest one, but it's like invite them to the location scout and pay them. You know, it's kind of like, I know that's tough because it's kind of like they'll turn up. Yeah, it'd be a day rate. I mean, I hate mentioning this, but maybe it doesn't need to be a full day rate. It should be, but maybe it's like, hey, can we, again, I'm talking indie here.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, Darren, can we grab you for 2 hours? Just swing by, we'll get you lunch and, you know, we'll pay you X amount of money, whatever. But I think, you know, just getting them out there because, again, you all land on location to scout it. And it's just something like, are we shooting next Wednesday? Well, there's a gardener going on right now. Is he going to be here next Wednesday? You know? And yeah, he will. So there's like your 2 hours of your day gone out of nowhere, because then the sound mixer just shows up on set without hearing that and being like, guys, we've got a gardener outside. You know, just little things like that. So it's definitely like,
no, that's a really good point. Like, you guys can really assess the location on the sound level that, you know, we're too busy focused on other things like lighting. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And like, you know, fridges buzzing.
Oh shit.
You know, like all that sort of stuff.
God damn it, we have to worry about the goddamn fridges in the scene.
the fridges, yeah. You know, just like basic house noises.
Yeah, of course.
And then it's kind of like we're setting, you know, hair and makeup in this room. It's like, well, aren't we filming this, you know, halfway through the day? Well, it's like now hair and makeup are going to be through that. You know, just like little like reminders, and hopefully it's not annoyances, but like just, you know, talking to the AD or talking to the producers and directors and just saying, think about this, you know. And it's not always like this is how it needs to be because sound is important. It's just more like
that would totally stress me out. I'd be like, no, thank you. Just don't tell me.
No, thank you. Get out of here. But it's just like, you know, reminding of them, like, you know, this could happen, and then maybe there's a solution of the AD or, you know, whoever might say like, yeah, maybe we'll put actors up here instead, or, you know, or whatever it is. So it's just including them early. And then I know this is a tough one, but it's just like really investing in sound in terms of crew and in terms of gear. The biggest one is it's like we'll get the one-man band. And then it's kind of like, while you've got a really expensive camera, you know, a good DP and an AC and then a big truck outside, and then you expect again, I hate saying this, but one-man band, you know, I should say a single sound person to come in and get audio for your film. Right. So it's like just knowing that there should be a bigger crew for sound, at least a boom operator and sound mixer. Like, so 2 people, one person, again, for people that don't know too much about sound, one person that's just listening to the mics, mixing the mics, recording them, processing them, all that sort of stuff. And it's just basically like a person that's in charge of listening and watching the film on set, so decisions can be made for
and
sound.
They can adjust the levels and like let you know, oh, this person's just way too loud, or we can't even hear the other person. That's their role.
Stuff. Exactly, yeah. Or like if they are loud, adjusting their mic or adjusting gain for that mic, levels for the mic and stuff like that. And then like we discussed, the boom operator, who's the person who's swinging that boom around, that again in an indie sense might also be the person that's wiring actors as well, or adjusting things or laying out carpets because there's loud footsteps and stuff. There's just all these things that is more than just let's hire that guy for, you know, $100 off Craigslist and let's get him in here on the day, and then he just throws a boom up and it's like echoey and it's, you know, he doesn't know what the blocking is or she doesn't know what blocking is and all that stuff. So there's just that. I think that's the best thing. I don't want to go on too long,
this is like really good. Yeah, this is the micro stuff, because, you know, for first time indie filmmakers, if they've never worked with a sound crew, it's like, wait, so who is it? Because they might just automatically think you just need one guy. So, you know, it's important to know who's even on a team, like when you speak of a sound team.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's also when you get to kind of larger indie sets, is there'll be someone that's called a second sound assist or sound utility, or whatever you call it, that could be in charge of, again, wiring actors, laying out those carpets, getting cameras synced up, like all that sort of stuff. And I guess the main point for that is you don't, the same, like I don't like making this comparison because I there's often the thing of like the sound person is the grumpy person that you know, always wants too much and gets paid too much and is sitting there doing nothing or whatever. But, and I do think that the camera department works extremely hard. But it's like you would never have, on most cases, you'd never have your DP running around grabbing lenses, setting up lights, you know, like figuring out what the actors are doing. Just, you know, you would want your director and your DP sitting there and chatting while the ACs and the grip guys and whatever are doing all the, you know, different tasks while the DP is concentrating on the film or on the creative side of it. I feel in some ways it's the same, again, because we're talking indie, it's the same with production sound mixes. It's like, as we all know, dialogue is so important. When you sit down and make a movie, the first thing you do is you write the script and you write the dialogue. You don't write the beautiful shots of the sun. I mean, you do, but you know, you don't, and then you move on to the next shot. It's like, it's the beautiful shot of the sun. We enter into the scene in the kitchen, and then it's just dialogue. It's not like footsteps and cool lighting and like check out the fridge in the back. It's like, it's all about, you know, the story and the dialogue. And I think because of that, it's important that there is someone, which is the production sound mixer, just sitting there and listening to the dialogue, making sure it's being recorded properly. And a production sound mixer will often have like a video monitor in front of them, or two, depending on how many cameras there are. And they'll just watch the film while it's going on. And like I said, they'll mix with, you know, faders of like, let's mix in the girl, let's mix in the male, let's mix in the mum, all this sort of stuff. And they create a mix for the directors to listen to and the editors to listen to and stuff. And it's just, it's super important that that person is just dedicated to that, instead of running around, holding a boom, miking up this actor, being called in late, you know, rushed and stuff like that. Because it's like, again, if you had your DP scrambling and then all of a sudden you said, I know you're not lit, but just throw on the camera and let's roll. The DP would be like, what's the point of me doing this then? You know, why am I here? It's same with any other department, makeup and stuff. It's like, you wouldn't do half a face of makeup and then be like, okay, you know, let's just get her in there. You know, it's such an important role that I feel the time needs to be put into it.
As producers, like a lot of little things that you've mentioned throughout this are things that I wouldn't have even thought of. You know, it's like I kind of want you guys to demand more for yourselves, like, because I would rather know, like, oh yeah, of course you need that, but I didn't even think of it. You know, so yeah.
And
cool.
Something else that sparked from a director's point of view when you were talking, that came to mind for me. You know, when you were saying, you know, you want your I'm sorry, what is the role again when it's the sound guy who sits and the mixer on the set?
Yeah, it's the mixer. Yeah, production sound mixer.
Yeah, on set, listening to it. So one of my favorite films, maybe not Tessa's, but is Uncut Gems by the Safdie brothers. One of the things that I really loved from the director was the sound. The entire time he captured, which typically you don't want on your movie set, is all the background noise. So he had all of New York City's hustle and bustle that it was actually hard to hear Adam Sandler like say his lines, but that was the point. And it created this tension and this unnervingness of like, oh my God, there's so much noise. Like I'm getting anxiety, but in a good way, because I loved it. Because it was so smart. And like from a director's standpoint, that's something you can communicate and like have this conversation with your mixer, you know, like choices like that, where it's like, wait, I really do want to capture this city sound, or I want it to be dead silent. So to have that mood. So I think that's something too to consider. And that just came to mind. And I love that shit.
Yeah, no, it's good. And it's like, that's the other thing. I do admit that a lot of the job of sound can be very technical and be seen as a technician more than a creative. But if that is the mindset of, you know, the producers listening and directors listening, I understand that. But what you should understand is from this technical work that we're doing, the creative can be made. So it's like, recording the dialogue, like the biggest example I give, it's like a lot of directors now and producers, and if, you know, people listening haven't got to this point yet, they will get there when they do films, it's just like you get in a film, you've got 6 actors in this one scene, and then the automatic thing is it's like, let's wire them all up, let's mic them up, which is put a lav mic on them, and they think that is solving the sound recording issue, or like, you know, we have recorded sound, they all have mics, everything will be fine, the recorder will hit record, the mixer will hit record, and all will be good. And that's fine, and that will work a lot of the time, because we do want to provide post-production with each track of each actor, and then the boom mic, and maybe like an ambience mic picking stuff up or whatever. But it's also, how do we get creative with this scene? So for example, you're in a big gym, a big like high school gym, and you see it's a wide shot and you see all the actors. If you put a lav mic on them, and I'll try to explain. If you put a lav mic on them, it's kind of like, cool, we're getting their dialogue, but then if you just place that lav mic in the mix, you're not creating anything in terms of being creative with sound. You're just hitting record, the mics are clean, everything's good, and then that's it. Another way to do it is, it's like, if you want to capture, let's say a church, maybe a church's a better thing. If you want to capture, maybe you're like filming in an old school, Roman church or something like that, and we want to capture the sounds of that, maybe you do want a boom mic a little bit further out. Maybe you want a boom mic planted in a certain way, next to whatever, something else, to get kind of a tighter sound or a bigger sound. And what you'll notice, and again, and this is up to the director, maybe that, like you were talking about, maybe that's not the sound of the film they're going for. Maybe they want it super crisp, super produced. But what you'll kind of notice is, when you get to the post-production side, is you have these different mic choices of, let's actually use the boom here to create the space. And then when we're moving closer, we don't want that space. So when I say moving closer, the camera's moving closer and we get the tighter shots. We'll make it feel tighter, but really we want to create the space of the church, because maybe that's where the father passed away and it's meant to be a sadder scene. Like, there's all these little things, because while that wide shot's being set up, that's what they're thinking of with lighting. Maybe they're thinking, we'll shoot something in from that upper window to create like a whatever sort of light, and maybe we'll shoot super wide and we'll make the background dark. Like, they're thinking creatively about how this wide shot can make sense for the story. And it's not as simple of like, slap some lavs on these actors and hit record, man. It's like, it's not that simple.
Yeah, maybe you want to start that wide shot with maybe some echoey voices from the church, like they're seated in the back row. And then when you zoom in, you don't want that same like echo chamber type sound.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it could be as simple as that, or obviously it can be more difficult once you start getting into like maybe like action scenes or something like that. But what I start talking, so it's just about, in terms of like directors and producers and stuff, it's like the Adam Sandler stuff. It's like, being creative with that can change your film, and you can be creative with the sound of your film, and it doesn't always need to be that way. If you're filming a soap opera, let's just get it crisp and nice and make everything sound good. If you're filming a reality show, it's like, slap a lav on them and just like get whatever you can get, because it's chaos. But when you're filming a narrative and it's indie, it's like, it can be hire one person and put some lavs and swing a boom and let's see what we get. Or it can be a really creative process where you walk out of it being like, man, that film, not only does my film sound good, not only the actors are great, not only am I happy with how I directed it, but holy crap, it sounds really good. And people might give you notes of like you said, like the Adam Sandler stuff. It's just, this film sounds great. Like it's different. It's cool. It's creative.
I think that's a really good point to bring up, because I've noticed on a lot of like indie films that, make it into festivals, but not necessarily like on the big screen or whatever, or like the giant festivals. The thing that is always really lacking is sound. And you kind of, if you don't really know a lot about sound, you're like, but why though? Like I hear everything, it's crisp, it's whatever, but it's because it's not, there's none of that creative touch to it. There's no real mixing to it. It's just good sound that's loud,
Right. And that's a big thing. It's like the difference between a really, really good sound mixer and boom operator and sound crew. It's so minimal, but it can make a difference. A little insight into like a production sound crew is often, we normally all have comms and we're chatting with each other and stuff. It is like they'll set up a frame. Like I said, the production sound mixer has a monitor in front of them, and then they'll get like a frame up and we'll shoot a rehearsal or do a rehearsal. And the constant communication is, hey, boom operator, let's try to get that boom mic in closer. And I'm talking like millimeters. It's like, I saw where you were, you can definitely come in. And it's like, hey, sound utility or your second assist or whatever, let's get a carpet underneath that footstep because it's just too loud, and it's on top of Brad Pitt's line, and we can't have Brad Pitt's line 80 yard, you know, like all these little things where it's kind of like, does it really matter? And will you not get the audio? No. But that's like the extra little bits that can just make it an echoey, weird sounding recording that will be even more echoey and noticeable in a theater versus just like a crisp, you know, good sounding recording, good sounding dialogue. And again, it's just like, I get it a lot with on these corporate interviews that I do where, you know, we'll set the boom mic again above talent, and then they'll set their frame, and then it's kind of like, yeah, bring that boom up. And it's like, well, hold on a sec. Bringing that boom up, bringing the boom mic up 6 inches is going to change the sound drastically.
Wow.
You know, not drastically, like I don't want to get too technical here because I know a lot of people won't hear that difference, but to us recorders, sound mixers, we'll notice that. And that means we have to bump our gain up a little bit, which means there's more noise coming into the mic. And that also means, so it just sounds different. Now, is it necessary? You know, because a lot of the times that will happen, and then usually the talent will sit in, and then, you know, they'll tighten up and they won't tell us and all that sort of stuff. So I can't remember what I was getting at, but basically it's just like what you were saying. It's like just those little things can make a huge difference. And how do we as a production sound team know that? You talk to us, you tell us, you consider it. So it's like, yeah, I don't expect every indie director to do that. But after their second or third or fourth film, you know, you'll realize like, okay, I noticed that this scene outdoor near the pool sounded like crap. Now I'm shooting another outdoor scene. Let me go talk to my sound mixer. How can we fix this? What can we do? So it's just like, again, going back to your question, it's about a sound crew. It's just like including them in the process because it's such an important thing. And it's not, I don't want to like cry about like, oh, we don't get included in the thing, but it is really funny when you see, when you get an email of like, you're looped into a chain and then you scroll down that email and it's like 2 months ago, this all started of like, okay, here's the location, this is what we're shooting, here's script 1, here's version 2, here's red, you know, whatever. And it's kind of like, where was my emails that whole time? You know, like, why didn't I know that we were going to shoot out in Malibu all the way up in the hills where I can't get my sound card up that hill? You know, like, why didn't I know all this stuff? So it's pretty
No,
important.
I love that you're saying that because honestly, I probably wouldn't think to include my sound guy in like a script read, you know, you know, honestly. So it's just so cool to hear you talk about this process, and it's really eye-opening, honestly, to hear about that. I think anyone tuning in who hasn't, especially because like you said, after I think your third film, you're like, okay, let's really not make the same mistakes on sound, because I think that's just what naturally happens. I mean, Tess and I have been there where we had a one-man crew and it didn't go so
more than once.
More than once.
We've made that mistake a couple times.
Yeah, actually, let's it was, but that's the thing. Like, you learn from these mistakes, but I'm so glad we have you on the show today to kind of get more in depth, like what kind of conversations should we be having? And it's like, okay, cool. I would love to include you, you know, if we had hired you for a project in that initial run, if that's going to help us all talk about it.
Right.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Fafalius, and I'm the producer of Krista Makes a Podcast and the host of the One Hit Thunder podcast.
And I'm Matt Kelly, host of Horror Movie Night and the producer / the head of content for the Geekscape Podcasting Network.
Between the two of us, we have, believe it or not, 25 years of podcasting experience, and we want to help you start your own podcast.
We know podcasting, and we want to share that knowledge with you.
So whether you're new to podcasting or you want some feedback on your currently active podcast, we want to help.
Or perhaps you're just overwhelmed with all of the editing work. Well, we can help you with that also.
You can contact us at info@weknowpodcasting.com for more information.
We're excited to help your podcasting dreams become a reality.
And I think, you know, like I think it applies to all departments as well. Like I know this I'm on here for sound.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't want to, again, make it like it's like a cry for just like sound department doesn't get this, sound department doesn't get that. It's more like we are one of the, departments that are sometimes, not all the time, not thought about. And again, it's understandable because people don't get into this to record sound. People get into this to record visuals or to film or whatever, or to act or to direct. They're not directing the actors for the sound, even though they should be. It's kind of more they're visually watching the facial expressions and when the person turns and stuff like that. So we understand that, but it just applies to all departments. I think it's just art, for example, like production design is another one where it's like you shoot in a garage, but they wanted to make it look like a living room. It's like, okay, that's possible, but they need props. They need a full crew. They need a budget to
they
get
need the layout of the
ideas.
space, like specs
Exactly.
like that are so important.
Yeah, like, and again, include them in, well, they usually get included location scout, but include them in the location scout and like get their ideas, all that sort of stuff.
I think it's important to not forget how collaborative independent filmmaking is in general. But I mean, even on bigger budgets, like you have like, because you can afford to have like 100-person crew, like literally.
Right.
And all those people are communicating with one another to make the vision happen. So even on an independent scale, why not have your 5-person crew like really involved?
You're right. I think that's like the biggest thing that I've learned as a person that just works on so many different projects, because we're not invested like 2 months into a short film. It's like, obviously, like, hey, are you available tomorrow? That sort of thing. So I see the way different people work, and that's my thing. And I think everyone can be like this, and it's tough, but just coming in knowing that you're there for the film or for the, whatever. And like going back to what I was saying, it's like if a camera, operator or DP is like, hey, we want to widen out. Can you bring that boom up? It's like, of course I can, man. Like if this is going to help the shot, let's do it. And it's just like just having that idea of if a production sound mixer or anyone is saying like, hey, we can hear the Jenny outside, the generator, which is,
the Jenny
giving all of the Jenny, giving, for people who don't know, the lights outside, powering up the lights. If we can hear that, can we move it? I wouldn't want the grip or the lighting team or whatever to be like, oh God, all right, yeah, man. It should be more like, oh wow, our sound is affecting the dialogue of this film. Like let's fix this. What can we do? I'm like, all we needed is just around the corner, 6 more inches. And then maybe the sound utility guy will be like, let me help you wrangle this, this power cable. And like I think that's how it should be. And
I love that.
It is a lot. I'm not saying I think it's really important. And I actually heard an AC one time on a commercial, which was like a pretty poorly run commercial, where he just started like taping down cables and doing stuff outside of his department. And it was funny because it was almost looked like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? A lot of people. And then his thing that he just said was like one team, and they just walked off. And I was just like, oh man, this guy gets it. Like it is one team. We're here. It's if you think about it with sports, it's like, what's the point of or whatever, just doing his job or her job and like not caring about the other team. Like if the defense is bad, what's the point of a strong offense? Like all this sort of thing. That's like a bit too extreme, but it's just like, it is meant to be a collaborative process. And I think it's hard for people to understand that.
We're all here rooting for the same thing, that whole team mentality. Like we're here to make the shot look amazing.
Yeah.
So let's listen to our sound guy. Let's listen to our key grip, like all those people.
100%. Yeah. And then even like with actors and everything, it's like the actor needs quiet. It's like this person is trying to get into a zone here, and it's a tough situation. Like, don't joke. Don't don't keep walking in on it. Like, make space. Just think about everyone else's situation. And I think that is what at least I've learned by being neglected as a production sound mixer on certain productions. It's kind of like, well, let me think of it from their point of view. It's just like, why don't they care or notice sound? It's because if they're worrying about the visual, so they care about the visual so much. So let me care about the visual so much. Like, what can I do? Like, this boom is casting a shadow. Can I come from anywhere else before I start asking lighting to change things up? Or like, this actor is doing some really physical stuff. Can I boom this scene rather than throw a lav mic on them? It's just like, just trying to think of different ways to help everyone else out. So again, the film looks and sounds and is the best it can possibly
Yeah.
be, especially at an indie level, because you don't have resources, you don't have unlimited gear for sound. It's usually the sound mixer's personal kit that he or she's thrown in for free or thrown in for like $100 or something like that, but it should be like $1,000 a day or something. It's like, it's often you're putting in extra stuff and there's limited resources. So just trying to help everyone else out on the crew, I think, is key, not just from a sound perspective, but from just like are you in this to make something good? Or are you in it just to get a quick paycheck?
Yeah, that's such a good point, because it's, we don't have the resources to sometimes even pay people's full day rates, which is, I hate that, but you just don't have a budget a lot of times with indie films. So it is so important that people are willing to work together and not have big egos and, all of those things. And like to think about the other departments. And if you don't have like the mental capacity in that moment to think about the other departments, then to listen when they do speak up and they ask you to, move the Jenny away from the building or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. I think that's also a good thing, because often like production sound mixers on most productions do make like, a good rate, and they get gear rental and stuff. So when they're doing that, like when they've just come off a commercial and then a couple of corporate shoots, and then they just finished off a show, that actually paid them a decent rate. When they get that call last minute, like, hey, I've got a job on Sunday, can you work it for $200 or, whatever it is, it's kind of like, it's just like, what is it? What are we doing? Who are you? I know you got my number from Steph or whatever, but it's like, it's just such a, I don't want to say it's an insult, but it's tough to it is, but it's tough to like swallow, because it's kind of like, you want me to come onto your film that you've been working on for 2 months, and then again, like I said, just show up, throw mics out there and just hope for the best. Like, it's not at that point, it's not worth it for the production sound mix. And especially if it's kind of like, I want you to come in with all your gear by yourself and do it all. So going back to what you're saying, it's like, a lot of sound mixers won't be okay with working below their rate. And I think that's completely fine. It's kind of like, they've invested in their gear. They're really highly skilled crew member, and they don't want to work under the rate. That's fine. But you have to find, for the indie world, again, you have to find that sound mixer or that crew that is maybe looking for the project because they've just done a ton of corporates and they're bored of that now and they want a cool project to work on. But you're never going to get that if you just text them 2 days before and be like, hey, I got your number from Steve. Do you want to come work on my film? It's $200 a day. It's just too like, we don't give a shit about you. We're throwing you $200, which to us is a lot, but to them, it's like nothing. I mean, to the filmmakers, it's a lot, but to the production sound mixer, it's nothing. Going back to what we're saying, it's like, but if you include them in the process early on and say like, hey, I'm thinking of shooting a film in 2 weeks. I know it's not a lot. Here's the script, blah, blah, blah. Let me know if you can do it. And then they might come back to you and say yes, or might come back to you and say no. Like, that's a really difficult script. I'm going to need so much wireless equipment. Really what I'd want is X amount of money. And then that's when the discussion can be had. And then like a sympathetic discussion, like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that's how much it is. Let's kind of figure out a kind of middle ground on where to meet or something like that. And again, this goes to all crew. I'm not just, talking about sound, where it's just like chat with them and figure it out. And I think you've got more chance of getting a good production sound crew that way, where it's kind of like the production sound mixer then says to their boom operator, hey, they've only got $400, she seems like a really cool chick, or he seems like a really cool guy, and I like the project. Would you like to work on it? And, and that boom operator will do the production sound mixer a favor and blah, blah, blah. And then for us, it's like, this is usually the thing that is like the dead giveaway of don't work on this, but it's kind of like, we've got big projects coming in the future. It's like, all right, take it easy. It's like, it's such a, it can seem really, what's the word, like sly, of just like, don't try to trick it. And again, any crew of just like, we're going to bring you on next time. It's kind of like, just try to help them understand that you understand that this project is smaller than what they normally work on. But you want it to be good, and you would give them the time of the day of just like, let's meet, let's chat, let's discuss what you need, and we'll try to give it to you, but if we can.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's
that's
really important to mention, because there's such this like culture of independent film is all, you know, asking for favors and building those relationships so you can, you know, blah, blah, blah. And like, to some degree, yes, it is. But there's a difference between asking for a favor of, hey, can you, you know, can you come with your equipment so we're not paying like the extra for the equipment? Hey, can we pay you, you know, your day rate, but maybe on this location scouting day we can talk about like, you know, a half day or whatever it is that it's negotiating, but it's not asking people to work for free. Because that's the thing is like, you know, in the very beginning and your very, very small first things, you probably are going to have people work for free for you because they're so small, they're willing to take it on, whatever. But, you know, when you get into even your first feature, it's still a feature-length film. You can't just have people working for free. And that goes for the actors too, because actors are always asked to work for free.
100%.
And the other thing about it is too, like you have to remember you're asking someone for a favor, whatever specifics that favor is. If it's someone you don't know, why would they do you a favor? You know, so I think a lot of people are just like, oh, well, you know, my script's really good. Like you said, I have things coming in the future. It's great exposure, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't know you. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do you a favor. Why would I? What do I get out of it? You know, you have to remember it is a business.
Yeah. I think that's a common one as well is, again, because we are seen as technicians, you know, we get you know, we only have X amount of money, but we come on and we're not really, you know, they'll say we've got more stuff coming, or this is already being checked out by Netflix or something like that. And it's kind of like, yeah, but what does that do for me? It's just like, cool, I recorded sound in a Netflix show. I've done that a million times before. Or, you know, I that's not good. No one's like scrolling, who's the production sound mixer? Oh, it was Steve. Let me contact Netflix and try to get his number. Oh, like, hey, you know, it's just, that just stuff doesn't happen. Maybe to a DP, maybe to a production designer, maybe obviously to a director or actor. But for us, that doesn't happen. So I feel like, it's just tough because we, you know, you need a lot from sound, but it's like asking for it for a lot of mixers, it's tough to get it. Because also the other thing to consider is, like you said, you shoot your first indie or you shoot your first short film or whatever, and you do need people to do favors, whether it's for free or $50 or whatever. That is, to me, as someone that's gone through the different levels, that's understandable. To some people it might not be, and again, like I said, that's totally fine, but then they shouldn't be chatting with you. It should be a simple, I apologize, I don't do low rates or whatever, see you later, you know. But it's one of those things where you don't do an indie short, low budget, self-funded indie short, and then you make it 7 people outside swimming in a pool with a full dialogue scene. You know, it's kind of like your student budget sound mixer that's only done 2 films is not going to get that audio. If you're doing an indie short film and it's your first one and you're asking people to do favors, I don't want to change the creative, but make it fairly simple, you know, make it 2 people sitting on a couch, make it 2 people, you know, sitting on a bed, or make it 3 people, and make sure you've got 3 wires if you know you're shooting a super wide, you know. And again, this comes down to chatting with the sound mixer of like, hey, we're shooting 4 people sitting at a dinner table and I want most of it to play out in the wide. Then they'll say, okay, well, we're definitely going to need 4 wireless systems, which will cost you this much amount of money. Do you want to invest in that? And then they might say, no. We don't have that sort of money. Or they might say, yeah, this is exactly what I needed to know or what I didn't know. And again, going back to what we said, I don't want to go too deep into it, but it's just like, that's just chatting with people, you know, and understanding the different needs from different people.
And helping you get the sound and shot you want, like knowing, oh, wait, I need to make more room in the budget for this because I really need the scene to sound good.
To sound good, yeah, because I know I'm going to play it.
And if like, you do that the night before, like,
exactly.
I think something and I'll let you finish your thought, but that what you were saying, it just sounds like, you know, now that Tess and I've produced a couple things, now if I get hired on as a producer or director for another project, it would be absurd to me if someone contacted me the night before and was like, yeah, want to just come on to shoot next time? I'm like, whoa, because how am I supposed to do a good job if I am just getting thrown into it, I would say no. I would just say no. I can't. I want to do a good job, and that's what I think. With the same thing goes to like any position, but specifically sound. It's like you would, of course, turn it down because it's like you're not going to do good, and then they're going to look at you like you did your job wrong.
Yeah, the production sound crew is there to record files for the director, for the team, for the thing. Like, they're not for us. We don't go home and listen to that sound and be like, oh, that's great.
Right.
I need that. It's all done for you or for the director or for whoever. So it's kind of like, don't make it look like the needs of the production sound team, or again, any department. For example, makeup is for them. I mean, if they're being slow or they're being lazy or they're being difficult, I understand. It's kind of like, then you're saying it, you can, kind of put blame on sound issues or makeup issues or whatever. But in the end, it's kind of like, hey, should we get, an extra take because, character Steve decided to just jump and slam the glass on the floor or something. It's kind of like, that's not for us. We're not saying I want that take. I'm saying you need that take. Do you want that take? Will you need that in post-production? You can see the edit in your head. Do you think you'll cut to that shot? If so, you need an extra take. And again, it's just like the idea of the dialogue, kind of what I'm getting at. All right, another one for sound. It's like, no. We're not doing another one because of us, because we stuffed up. We're doing another one because that's, again, we're all a team, and what happened during that take affected everyone. It affected you during the editing phase, during the sound mixing phase, during the music composition phase. It's like, once it's all put together, how is that scene going to play out? What you needed was an extra take for you guys. Because again, once I hand over that SD card or CF card or whatever, it's like I go home, I collect my check, and I, play with my kid or whatever. It's not like we sit there and go through the next steps of editing, post-production, blah, blah, blah. We're done with it. So everything that we're doing is we're doing it for you. And if there's a production sound mixer that cares about the film, they'll try to voice that. But often, again, he or she will be seen as difficult or slowing down the day, which again is going back to my original point of we have to work around that. And again, that's all departments. It's kind of like, oh shit, we've got 1 hour to finish this scene. Maybe we shouldn't grab, like you said, room tone, or maybe we shouldn't try to pull the actors away to get wild lines of their dialogue or anything. It's just like we have to kind of work around that. So I think it's again going back to the collaborative thing. It's everything's being done for the director, for the producer, for the film. So it's not our fault, or it's not for us. We're trying to help. Hopefully, again, I don't want to make it look like every production sound mixer is like a perfect person and everyone else is a demon. It's not that. It's more that hopefully you find a production sound mixer that just wants to get you good sound, and if you can help him or her do that, then that's great, and that will just make it so much better. And you'll make their lives easier. You'll make your lives easier. And then when you go to the post-production sound side, you won't be getting a sound editor or dialogue editor being like, what the hell happened? What's going on here? So
that is a really good reminder. Like you're not doing it for yourself, for your own enjoyment. You're doing it for the film.
Exactly. And it's kind of my point where, like what you guys said earlier was people talking in the background. It's like, I'll set up a reminder of like, hey, I'll go chat to the AD or maybe to like the group of people or whatever, but usually to the AD. And say like, hey, we're getting a lot of chat outside from extras or from the crew. Like, we should probably shut that down. And then that's it. I will not say anything more, because it's kind of like, I've already said it. Now it's up to you guys. I've told you what you need to be done to get clean dialogue. I'm not going to be the guy that goes and screams. I'm not going to be the guy who's like, hey, poke. Should we get them quieter? And it's like, and then the question is like, hey, sound, was that good? I'm like, what kind of question is that? There's people talking in the background. No, it wasn't good, but sure, let's move on, because I know that's what you want. It's
that's a good point. And I think that's just like, if there's any sound mixers or some people who work in sound too as well. I know filmmakers, we jump roles, and some of us gravitate towards other positions. And it's a good reminder where it's like, there's certain etiquette, and if you've said your piece, then that's it. You don't have to get frustrated, because again, it's like, it's not your baby. You're trying to help feed and nurture it, but if the mom and dad don't want to listen, then
Exactly. I think that's it. It's like you can do your best,
Yeah.
you know, and then now if we're talking to different crews that may be listening and stuff, it's like, yeah, you can do your best to do your job, whether it's makeup, it's like, you know, they've only been given X amount of time to do it. It's like, well, this is the best I can do. And it sucks. And then you maybe just don't want to work with those people again because you don't want your work to be poor. And I think it's a little bit different for sound because we record the sound and then it gets processed so heavily. So it's not so much like it's something we're proud of within reason. I guess in an indie film it is, because if you can record really clean dialogue, and it comes out in the film.
I just wanted to say, Darren, like, correct me, like, or tell me what your thoughts on it. But I do think there's a way to also say it, and like with enough notice and heads up, where it's like, hey, you know, we're gonna have a really quick day, and we have a lot of scenes to shoot. So I know the sound and, you know, certain things might not be perfect, but I'm okay with that. And I just want you to know, like, I'm not going to hold that against you, but like, just let me know if there's something blaring in the background.
Right. No, that is a very common thing that I'll hear, not so much in narratives, but in, say, like commercial shoots or like documentary type stuff or whatever. And that's super important, because then just that dialogue right there lets you know that the director thinks about you. But it is that thing, what you were saying is just chatting and being saying upfront. Like, it's going to be a tough day. Yeah, being upfront. It's going to be a tough day. It's going to be a noisy location. We couldn't do anything about it. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Just what, but then again, tell me, like you said, tell me what you need, and we'll try to give it to you. And any professional production sound mixer that's been doing it for a while will know that it's like, it's tough. It's tough out there. Like if you're filming in New York City, what are you going to do? You can't shut down New York City. There's helicopters, there's planes, there's taxis, there's people talking. You know, you can shut down a street, but you still can't shut down the ambient noise. And when it's loud, it's loud. And it's just like, as long as, again, the production and the team and the director knows that, then you go into it doing the best job you can get to get them the best sound that they can get. And if they don't get the sound, it's like, well, oh well. If they do get the sound and you did a really good job, it's kind of like, holy crap, this guy was great. You know, we gave him or her the worst situation that a sound mixer can possibly get into, and they did a great job. So it's kind of like, just that conversation can make a whole crew feel better for a 10-hour day or a 12-hour day, you know?
Communication is key.
Yep. Yeah.
No, I love that you broke that down and mentioned that, because I feel like we as independent filmmakers a lot of our days can end up looking like that. And again, we've just reiterated a bunch, is the communication, being upfront, and then you can problem solve easier, because that's what we're all trying to do on these sets.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
No, it's cool.
No, Darren, I'm so glad we had you on the show. Sorry it took till season 10 to finally have a sound guy, because I think the Fem fam, the filmmaker fam, everyone, like, I think it's just so great to hear your perspective and what it's like on set. And so, and
it definitely it taught us some things, you know, or made us think about things that we didn't think about before, you know? Yeah.
And I think, and sorry if I just make like one more point, which I've done quite a bit of, you know, over the past year or two, and I think it's good. A lot of directors and producers that I often work with, there's a few of them that have just sat down with me to chat, like not on set, just like in general, like, hey, let's go grab a coffee. And I think if you have a production mixer, or any sort of sound, because I know we haven't talked too much about post-sound production, but I do a lot of that as well. It's just like, just chatting, sitting down with them and like learning and understanding that, kind of the same way, like, you know, we're doing this now. But I think I think that's like the first step to understanding what's gone on, because I can tell my stories and my experiences, but, you know, not everyone does the same work as me. Not everyone, you know, has the same gear as me or you know, or whatever. So they may have a different opinion about how they want to do things, or how, you know, whatever. So I feel like, just whether it's for a specific job or just in general, like if you have, you know, 2 or 3 people you regularly reach out to, like, just grab a coffee with them and then just say like, hey, firstly, hey, how are things going? Develop a relationship with them. And then just chat about maybe a project coming up, or just like, what are some things you've got into? Because the more you hear this sort of stuff, the more you'll understand what sort of difficulties can come up. Because I think it's like we were saying before, is you'll often get on set, the sound recorders will, hit record. On an indie film, a lot of people don't wear headphones or like Comtex, which is where other people can listen into the audio on set. Like I'll give one to the director, and director obviously usually just takes it off, because they don't want that distraction or whatever. So they don't know what's being recorded or anything like that. So I think the idea of like, they're so focused on visual and they haven't even thought about sound, and then they wrap the day and they feel great, and then they go home and they start getting into post-production or whatever, or day 2 planning or whatever. Just stepping away from that craziness and then just having like a private conversation with any sort of sound person, whether it's like a boom operator, a production sound mixer, a post-production sound editor, whatever. I think that's smart, just to understand that world, because there's no other real way you'll understand that, because there will never ever be a time on set where you can pull the sound mix aside for 30 minutes and be like, hey, let's just chat. It just doesn't go that way. Where with a DP, you're constantly chatting about things. Well, if I had this light, I can do that. And maybe we should shoot this through there. And there's a constant technical visual chat that's going on. But how do you have that with a production sound mixer? You really can't. Again, unless you do want to dedicate like 20 minutes or something to pull aside and say like, oh, this is tough, let's talk about this. But it's not really, I'm not talking about a specific scene. I'm just talking about sound in general.
For sure.
So I feel that is a smart thing to do. So if anyone does have sound mixers that they usually work with or whatever, or hey, this could be a bad thing, but like reach out to me, just like give me a call. I'll be happy to grab a coffee with anyone and just have this same sort of conversation, because that also helps me out and other sound mixers out, because the sound mixer community is super small. Well, in LA anyway. I don't know how it is in other cities and other parts of the world, but it's so small. All the sound mixers help each other out. We all rent gear to each other. It's like a small crew. So just like doing that and understanding sound can really help you get a good reputation within the sound community. And it'll make you feel better. Like the main point is it'll make you feel better, just understanding the different sides of sound and the different departments within sound and how the whole shit show works, of like recording good dialogue on a hectic set.
No, totally. So, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. And along those lines, for our listeners, I don't know if you have like social media you'd like to share, but also if they are filmmakers themselves and they either want to work with you or want to learn more about it, or they are interested in going into the sound themselves. What's the best way to contact you and see your work, etc.?
Yeah, for sure. I'm terrible at social media. Like I have them all, but I just don't get on. It's like I'm an old man type thing that I just try to avoid that as much as I can, just because of how everyone's like addicted to it. But I do have Facebook and Instagram, and I think it's usually just Darren Augustus is my name. You'll have it on the podcast, right? So they'll know how to spell it and stuff. And just contact at Darren Augustus is my email. And then, I'm sure once you find me, just get in touch. But in terms of my work, I don't know, sound is weird because you don't have like reels and stuff like that for people to listen to. In the post stuff, I do have reels up, but
we might have to bring you back on for post-production talk. Like that's a whole other.
That is definitely a whole other thing, because that's the whole other world of, now that you've chatted with your sound mixer, now put your sound mixer in touch with your post-production sound mixer or your post-production team, and and the assistant editor, and like let them know how they're delivering files and what they need, and this is our difficulties here and stuff. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for this, Darren. This was awesome. No worries. I said, it definitely made us think about things that make perfect sense. It seems like it should be common sense, but it's just not automatic for us to think about, and now it's going to be, and that's going to help us. That's going to help our films. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
No, thanks for having me. This has been cool. I love chat and sound. So hey, thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right,
have a good one.
You too. Yeah, we'll chat soon. See ya.
Thanks for listening to FemmeRegardPodcast. If you like what you hear, tune in every Friday for more tips on the filmmaking business and insightful conversations with industry professionals.
We can only grow with your support, so please subscribe, share, rate, and review. You can also join the FemFam on Patreon. For more on us, check us out at FemmeRegard.com.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.